We have covered the Manage Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, and we are going to start Hybrid Identities today, the next module in the syllabus. So, hi, my name is Arun, and let's get started with Hybrid Identities in our next video of AZ-300 series. All right, so before we start and proceed with hybrid identities, let's understand what is hybrid identities first. Okay, good. Well, hybrid identities is something which is there on premises and on cloud as well. If this is not making much sense, then let me try to explain it to you, and hopefully this would make all the sense. So let's suppose we have the on-premises infrastructure in place already. Okay, so this is our on-premises where we have entire infrastructure up and running, maybe from a couple of years. Okay, and maybe it's new, doesn't matter, but we have already spent a lot of money to take care of identities and applications. Okay, let's suppose we have Azure Active Directory in place for identities. Okay, not Azure, but the Windows Active Directory. Okay, let's suppose we have Active Directory in place to manage our identities, users, accounts, security groups, applications for authentication, of course. Okay, now something happens, maybe your hardware is going to expire, or maybe there is some kind of expansion, you took over some company, some branches are going to open, or maybe because of the cloud benefits. Well, it doesn't matter what is the reason, but your business people decide, your stakeholders decide to expand into cloud. Okay, now let's suppose we have cloud here. This is our cloud. Okay, now we have users here, right here in this identity active directory. We got users here. Okay, and we do have applications here. Your applications that users access with the help of their identification or authentication that you have already planned, and it's working absolutely fine here. Okay, now since you are moving to the cloud, you have cloud applications as well, right? So let's put cloud applications here. This is your cloud application here. Okay, now these users that you already have in your on-premises Active Directory wants to access cloud application just like the way they access the on-premises application. Well, this is what we need to establish. Okay, so in this scenario, so that these users can access cloud applications, okay, we have two ways to deal the situation. The first thing, we create users here at this place in the cloud, create different users for your cloud applications and provide that username to your existing on-premises users. Okay, that is not seems like a good way. It is more like, let's suppose uh, you have a username Deadpool on-prem, and now you have to create a different username and password for him to access any resources you manage through Azure AD, because here we have Windows AD for authentication, and in cloud we have Azure AD. Okay, we have Azure AD. So we need to create users here so that they can access these cloud applications, right? Makes sense. But we don't have any users here, so we create users in cloud and we access cloud applications. Okay, that's the first way. Now the second way, or other option or better option, is to establish some sort of sync, okay, sync, some sort of sync means your user still work with your existing identity source, that is Azure Active Directory, and you don't have your users remember the username and password for the cloud applications, because these users that you have here, these users or accounts or objects, let's suppose, that includes all, like security groups and all, are going to sync to the cloud AD. Okay, so that's the second way. In the first in the first option, we are going to create a different users, which is of course not a good way, because your user have multiple username password to manage, and that's not a good practice. And in the second option, we are going to sync AD objects usernames to the, or users to the Azure AD. Okay, so that your user would have the same username and password that they have in their on premises. And the second scenario is referred to hybrid identities. Okay, so these identities are hybrid identities. Okay, all right. Now, hybrid mix of identities from on-premises with resources in cloud, and to achieve that we have something called Azure AD Connect. Okay, so the second option that we chose, let me write this down, it will help you to understand. We got two choices. All right, the first one, create username and password in cloud and distribute. And the second option was sync the on-prem identities to the cloud. And the second option is called hybrid identities, this one, the second one. And to achieve this, we have something called, provided by Azure or Microsoft, we call it AD Connect. So this sync is actually happening with the help of AD Connect. That's the tool. With the help of AD Connect, we can ensure that users can continue to use their existing username and password to access resources within the cloud. Okay. Now, to do this, we have to take care of two things actually. Let me show you. Now, we need two things. First is there is some way of having Azure AD to get copy of those accounts, username, security groups, and so on. Till now we covered that part is synchronization. Okay. And what is the other thing that is needed? Any guesses? Well, identities would not be of any useful until a way of authentication, right? So we need some way to manage the authentication. These two things are needed. And we are so fortunate because Azure AD Connect is a tool which provides both the things, or which help us to achieve both the things rather. Okay. Azure AD Connect can handle both. Now, AD Connect can sync the user account from on-premises to Azure AD directory tenant, and for authentication, we have three options. Okay, we got three more options for authentication. And this is where the actual thing comes up. What are these three things? Well, these three things are password hash synchronization, PHS. Okay, and we have, let me write this down, password hash synchronization. Then we need to choose like which one is better for your environment. It depends, a lot of factors involved, but today we are not going to talk about these. In next video for sure. PTA, that is pass-through authentication. Okay, and the third one is federation integration, ADFS. All right, so this is what the hybrid identities is, and that's how we can achieve this. And let's recap quickly. Okay, this will help us to retain the maximum of this video. Okay, so what is hybrid identities? Well, hybrid identities, as I showed you in this picture, hybrid cloud generally refers to integrating and extending infrastructure and identity between on-premises and Azure. Okay, so as per our scenario, we have on premises, everything is up and running fine. We have something in place for identities and application management. Let's suppose we have Active Directory. Now we wanted to move to cloud. We have cloud applications running in the Azure, and now we want our on-premises users to access the cloud applications. To achieve this task, we can either create new username password, or we can sync the identities. The second option, syncing the identities and password, well, for password it depends. For identity, for sure, we use AD Connect, and these identities are called hybrid identities. Now AD Connect helps you handle both synchronization and authentication, because we need both for and successful identity management, okay? Because without authentication, identity is nothing. So synchronization can easily achieve with the help of AD Connect. We can synchronize all the usernames, but for authentication, there are different ways. There are three options that we can opt for as per the requirement of our environment. We have password hash, we have password passed through authentication, and we do have ADFS. Well, that's all about it. Let's talk in another video where we'll be discussing these options. Thank you for watching.